You are listening to Squid and the Ultimate Leafs Fan.
Hello, Canada and hockey fans of the United States and Newfoundland, and an extra big hello to Canadian servicemen overseas.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Squid and the Ultimate Leafs Fan. I'm Mike Wilson, the Ultimate Leafs Fan, and joining me as always, my wingers, Ricky Squid 5. Squid, first off, how are we doing today? And secondly, the guy we have today joining us today, you're pretty familiar with, and Nik Antropov.
Yeah, no, I'm doing good, Mike. And, Nicky, I never played with him, obviously, but, I really got to know him on various trips with the alumni, especially at the Leaf training camps where we play alumni games and so on. And I got to tell you, he's an unbelievable player in those alumni games with his size and his reach and his skating ability, puck handling skills. And I just love playing with the guy because I just say, I give him the puck and I say, okay, go ahead, and he does all the work. But the funny thing was, well, I'll get into it with him because I remember talking to him about shooting more. And I said, holy cow, I said, if I had coached you, I said, you would have probably scored 35, 40 goals a year.
Yeah. Well, I had the experience of playing with him in the Baycrest. And I got, just for the listeners out there, to give you an idea what type of guy he is. And this is a story I'm dropping on you for the first time, too. Johnny Cook, who runs Westwood, Chestwood, all that, he put the team in. So Cook and I were playing on the same lines. We're sitting on the bench and Nicky's on the ice. And we're playing this team. He's our pro with us. So, and you've played in the Baycrest many years, so you know all about this. So in the last game, we're smoking this team. And there's less than a minute left in the game. And Nicky, I think, had just scored. So he's standing at center ice and he's leaning over talking to the guy next to him who wasn't much of a player. So I'm wondering, what's he saying to this guy? So all of a sudden the puck drops. They start yelling at each other and start swearing and screaming. So everybody in the ice stops and go, what the hell are these guys yelling about? And so then Nicky grabs the guy and he throws him on the ice and he jumps on him and they're wrestling around fighting. So obviously after about a minute, like everybody's just stunned. I'm looking at Cookie like, what's he doing? He gets up, hugs the guy, skates right over to Cookie, who's running the team, and says, I wanted to be the first guy in the Baycrest to get a Gordie Howe hat trick. So I offered the guy $100 to fight me. Well, the whole bench just roared with laughter, and he paid the guy the $100. The guy donated to the charity. So, I mean, what a guy.
Probably took him quite a few years when he got here to figure out what a Gordie Howe hat trick was.
Well, he knew right away. Well, and for those out there who don't know what it is, it's the Gordie Howe hat trick named after Gordie Howe. It's a goal and assist and a fight all in the same game. And the interesting thing is Gordie only had two in his whole career. And I'm happy to report that the all-time leader is my old friend from Scarborough, Ontario, Ricky Tockett, who had 18. So there you go, the Gordie Howe hat trick. And Nicky has one in the Baycrest. He's the leader in the Baycrest tournament. So now, Squid, before we bring Nicky on, our Maple Leafs. We're recording this on Thursday, so they're about to play Vancouver tonight. But since we spoke to you guys last, it's been a pretty good week. So let's just do a little review of what's gone on. They played 4 games. They went 4-0. They had 2 shutouts. They gave up 2 goals, used 3 goalies. I would say that's a pretty good week.
I would say that's a perfect week. The funny thing was watching things and saying, well, they'd be the first team ever to play 3 goalies in 3 games in a row against the same team who all won. And I'm thinking, well, normally you would never play a team 3 times in a row.
Yeah.
I mean, that just doesn't happen in the National Hockey League, let alone 3 different goalies. But you know what? I love the way that they defended against Edmonton. Never mind the goals and everything else. And they did it without Matthews and Anderson, obviously, the first 2 games. But I was really impressed with how they shut down Edmonton. Wouldn't let them gain access to the zone freely. And anytime McDavid or Draisaitl got the puck, they were on them very, very quickly and took everything away from them. I was really, really impressed.
Well, all you have to do is look at the backup goalies now before the game tonight. So we're doing this in front of this, and Campbell's supposed to start this evening. So we'll be talking about this next week. But the goalies were 6-1 with a .946 save percentage. and a 1.98 goals against average. Last year, Hutch was 7-12-2 with an 88.92 save percentage, along with a 3.47 goals against average. I don't think you have to look any further than that to explain where the team is coming from and why they're at the top of the standings.
Exactly. And well, I mean, I believe it was the 55th or 56th game last year before the backup goalies got the 5th win for the Maple Leafs. I mean, so if you look at it that way and look at what they've done already, I mean, it's incredible. But I just think the team as a whole are playing so much better as a team and better defensive zone, which is leading to some good offensive chances. And you know, they're playing lights out right now, and I don't expect anything to change in Vancouver either.
No, I mean, it sure looks that way. I mean, you've got secondary scoring starting to come up. Even Vesey got a couple of goals last night. I mean, Spez is playing like he's 25 years old. They finally found, looks like the makings of a third line, which has just been playing exceptionally well. And he must have been listening to the podcast last week, because Engvall must have took our advice to just start playing like he used to play like, and he has. And look at the game he's come up with in the last week. And even funny thing is, even Keefe, he must have been listening too, because he made a comment in the paper that go back to playing the way you were, relaxed, use that skating ability, your size and your shot. And guess what? He's playing lights out. And the other two guys with them are going with him.
Yeah, and I mean, there are 3 guys that have high energy.
Oh,
you know, Hyman, Mikheyev, and Engvall. They're all 3 of them are very good in their own zone. They're very good at getting in on the forecheck. They all skate well. I mean, they're a perfect line. I mean, a perfect energy line, or a line to shut down another team's top line. They can do it very, very easily, and they also get some opportunities because of that.
Absolutely. And I think there was a lot of surprised faces last night. You'd be looking at that highlight of Mikheyev racing McDavid down the boards and beating him to that puck in his own end. We're not even halfway through the season yet. But so far looks great. All things according to plan, and keep going according to plan. It's very optimistic moving forward. And as I like to say, in the stock market, the trend is moving the right way. So very positive so far. And we're just going to leave it at that. So our moment now is this day in history. And here's one for you, Squid. On March 6, 1920, you don't see this too often, Toronto loaned their goaltender, Howard Locker, to Quebec for the game, who was out a goalie. They then smoked them 11-2. But Ricky Roach scored 5 goals that game, and it was the first player in Toronto history to do that. 9 players have scored 5 or 6 goals since then as a Toronto player, but there's that little tidbit for you today. And secondly, on March 6, 1993, a kid by the name of Wayne Gretzky was the first player to get 2,300 points in NHL history. But listen to this. He did it in his 1,026th game. 2,300 points in 1,026 games. I mean, they marvel at the players today getting 40 points in, 24 games, 25 games. But think about those numbers. And anyway, that's...
It's funny you mention that, because I always thought that, his numbers, I don't think are reachable. And I saw the other day where, big whoop-de-doo about, which I 400 goals is no easy task, don't get me wrong. But Patrick Kane in his 900 and whatever game scored his 400th goal. And I'm thinking, like, okay, like, it was like 4 or 5 years ago when Shane Doan played his 1,600th game and got his 400th goal, and everybody was talking about how unbelievable that was. And I was thinking, wait a minute, like, you look at some of the guys like Gretzky and Bossy and Lemieux and those guys and what they did, that's incredible.
It really is. And I mean, it's just, but I mean, it's all different era, different time zones, different players, equipment, all that stuff. So regardless, it doesn't matter. It was done, and it is something remarkable.
I saw something on Instagram about similar things like that. What would be the hardest to break? And it was the 58 game hitting streak. Can't remember the gentleman's name now. It was Gretzky's points. It was Gretzky's 92 goals in a season. and it was Baltimore, the third baseman who played 2,600 straight games.
Yeah.
Cal Ripken. And I'm thinking, geez, I don't know which one of these would be the hardest. They're all pretty darn hard to break.
They're all pretty remarkable, that's for sure. So anyway, that's
Yeah.
just another one to mark up for Uncle Wayne, and we're happy to see that one. That one, I think, will be sitting there for some time. So I think
Oh, I
Squid, I
believe
think they've
so.
heard enough about us. We don't want to jinx our guys anymore, so we don't want to talk anymore about it. Leave it just to let them keep winning, and we'll turn it over and
Yeah.
listen to hear what Nick has to say.
Perfect.
Squid, our guest today, was the 10th overall pick of the Toronto Maple Leafs in 1998. Enjoyed a 19-year career as a pro, spent mostly with the Leafs, where he was a big part of the successes in the early part of 2000. At 6'6", along with Alexei Ponikarsky, that's easy for me to say, Joe Nieuwendyk, and even Matt Sundin, they formed a line dubbed the Skyline with the size of these guys. On another note, Squid, do you want to feel really old?
He said no filter, so Skid
This
is
guy
good.
was born on the day you were traded to Toronto, February 18th, 1980. Now, I also should remember that day because that's Debbie's birthday, so I better not forget that. Anyway, he still continues to work with the Leafs in the development side. Our guest today is Nik Antropov. Nicky, how you doing?
What's up, guys? Yeah, all good. You?
Well, we're hanging in here. Squid needs a haircut. I think I got one. I'm in Florida, so I got one a couple weeks ago. They allowed the stores to be open. It looks like you could use a haircut. So everything's
I
going
could,
well
yeah.
here. How you coping with the
Squid needs
how you coping
Squid
with the
needs
COVID?
to get. I'm okay. I was gonna say Squid needs to get on the ice, not the haircut, but
Yeah, I
play some
do.
games.
I haven't been on the ice since last March. But
So on the
yeah, the alumni games and everything, we gotta. Well, I would think probably in the fall. I think we'll probably get back into it like November, December, probably, hopefully. But
I hope
anyway,
so.
so you were picked 10th overall, Nick, back in 1998.
98.
What was your feeling when you came to Toronto, the first camp and everything? Aside from the language, perhaps, what were some of your biggest hurdles?
Well, where do I start? I guess let me start from before even I get drafted, or when I get to the draft. I up until about age 15, 14, 15, I had no idea what NHL is. I had no idea, literally. Like all I knew is the Russian Super League. That's my highest level. That my dream to play on at the time. And then, like I said, then we had every Saturday morning from 9 to 9:30, we had a NHL highlights. They start showing it once a week. So they're showing those the old school like Rock'em Sock'em by Don Cherry, 10 hits or 10 best hits, 10 best saves, and 10 best goals. But that's the only NHL viewing or whatever I've seen before. Like before that point, I had no idea what NHL is. And then the draft time came, and my Russian agent called me like, "Hey, pack your bags. Within a month, get your visa ready. We're going to NHL draft." And I'm like, "What's NHL draft? Like, what's what it is, right?" Literally, I had no idea. Like, it sounds like silly, but that's true. And then I went to the draft. We came to Toronto, drove Buffalo, and I have no idea. There was like 20,000 people or 18,000 people in the stands, watching just the draft. I'm like, what's happening? There's no ice up there. Like, what do we do? Like, what do I do? So I was completely clueless what's happening around me. Thank God I was like 10 or 9 guys went in front of me, so I kind of know my route if my name got called up. So just go down the stairs, shake a hands. Who's Gary Bettman? Get on stage, get your jersey, and then whatever. I don't know. But back to your point. After I get drafted, obviously.
Well, first of all, when you got
Leafs camp.
after you got drafted, you stayed one more year in Russia.
Yeah.
Was that your decision, or was that a Maple Leaf decision?
So as far as I know, so the option for me was to stay here and play major junior. I think I got drafted a week later with the European draft for the OHL for Brampton Battalion. I think I was like a second overall. on that one, and or go back to Russia. So Leafs were kind enough, so they kind of loaned me back to Russia because I already had a contract with them. Because, like I said, I had no idea that I'm gonna be get drafted because the combines. No, I never went to combines in May, right? So I had no idea if they want to get drafted or whatever. Like, I'm not sure. So I signed the deal with Moscow Dynamo at the time, and then the Leafs were kind enough sent me back there for a year, which I think was well, now looking back, it was a good choice, I guess, because I was kind of playing against the man already as an 18-year-old, play against the man. I think it's a huge advantage, in your growth, hockey growth. And then, yeah, the first Leafs camp, everything was new to me. No, like you said, language barrier was the huge hurdle for me. But other than that, it's like a hockey, so I just adjusted as I went. Every day was something new, but I adjusted, and made a lineup. Not an opening day, but I think 2-3 games after that.
Well, when you went into camp, so here you are, you're 19-year-old. Well, you got drafted at 18. You're a 19-year-old kid flying across the ocean to come and play for this team in the NHL, which you knew for a few years, but strange country, new language. What was your mindset really going into camp? And who were the first guys to kind of speak to? Did the guys help you out? And did the Leafs sit you down and walk you through what you should expect? Or how did it really all unfold for you? Or did you just go by the seat of your pants?
I just literally went day by day. I had no expectation whatsoever.
Yeah.
Like going forward, maybe 6, 7, or maybe even 8 years from my first camp. So, like I said, thinking back now, sitting back and thinking back, like I don't even know how I survived this, I would say harsh environment too. Like, I mean, being first rounder, 10th overall for the Toronto Maple Leafs, like every North American kid would probably go oh my man, they expect so much from me. I had no idea anything, all the inside scoops and stuff like that. I had no idea. So like I said, I just went day by day. I didn't know so much pressure was putting on me at this age right away, because my mentality, like I said, now I'm lived here more than I lived back in my hometown. So it's been almost 22 years in Canada. So now I'm thinking like probably, like so much pressure was at the time, but I didn't realize that. I just went day by day and survived 10 years in Toronto. Let's put it this way.
So maybe that was a better thing. You didn't have any expectations, and you just played yourself, and you're just nice and relaxed.
100% agreed. Yeah, like absolutely. Yeah. If imagine at 19, there is so much pressure on you. Put it before even you step on the ice, like after the draft. Yeah, 10th overall, Toronto Maple Leafs, first rounder, high expectation, probably expecting to make a lineup right away. Like I had no clue about this. So.
And you weren't a guy actually that didn't stand out on the ice at 6'6" playing forward, so they would notice who you were.
Yeah.
Squid.
Yeah, that's a good point. I mean, I never thought about that, but I was 5th overall, and expectations were high and everything else. I mean, I had already played a year in the WHA, so it was a little bit easier for me. And of course, played junior in Canada before that. I can't even imagine what it would be like coming over from where you came from and being 10th overall. And yeah, you're right. I mean, there's maybe not knowing about all the pressure and everything was probably better off than knowing everything. I would think.
I think so. Yeah. So
I would have liked it that way.
Exactly.
Well, now you did spend some time in the AHL and see you in St. John's. How was that experience for you playing pro?
Yeah, so my first year, so I was the last cut 2-3 days before NHL season starts. So I was the last guy who they been cut, and my agent kind of told me, so you have to go down there. And I think I spent like 12 days up there on the Rock, but I only played 2 games. We only had 2 games at the time. So, and the agent told me you have to go down there and just play a couple of games. So they were making room for me on the Leafs lineup, because I know I got called up on a game 4 or 5, I think, because I'm not sure who it was, but I think it was Steve Sullivan or maybe Todd Warner got traded. So he'd been traded, and then I got called up right away. So And so that was my first year. And then unfortunately at my third playoff game that year, so I hurt my knee, so ACL, and I recovered pretty much all summer, and then started playing my second year in the league. So I wasn't really, like 20 years old, injured, so kind of like was something in the back of my head. So I wasn't mentally, I guess, prepared for that. I got sent down back again for, I don't know, they never told me for how long, but I played 34, I think, or 34 games up there. Adjusted, so recovered from the injury, got my confidence back, felt really good, and expecting call up anytime soon. And then end of January, we went on a road trip, and I hurt my second ACL, not the same leg, but not the same knee, but the different one. So that was my first 2 seasons in North America, 2 ACL surgeries.
So now, as a 20-year-old kid going through the league the first time, what did you must have learned a little about the league, or maybe you heard a little bit. Like, what was it like going to some of the rinks like Montreal or Philadelphia for were players challenging you as you went through the league as a player?
I didn't know that at my first 2, 3, 4 years probably. So I kind of get to know that.
Yeah.
I would say probably third to fourth, maybe to fifth year in the league. That's when I started. Like I said, my first 2, 3 years in Toronto, it was 6 or 7 Russians in the team all the time. So I didn't really have to. So it kind of slowed down my English learning process, which is minus. But the good thing was, like, I mean, it was easy for me. I just go and ask this guy, what this guy said. Can you say this? So I kind of lean on these Russian guys mostly. So Igor Korolev took me under his wing, so
yes.
He was really, really good. And I was Sergei Berezin, Denny Markov, Yuskevich, Karpovtsev, Mogilny, Panikarovsky. So, and then all of them didn't get re-signed or got traded, and it was only me and Mogilny. And that's when reality kicked in. So I could understand pretty much everything, but to express myself, so that took me a little bit longer. But then once your English barrier or English language got better, my English got better. So now you start hearing all the Philadelphia, you go there, so you're gonna get pounded, every time. even in my first 2, 3 years, that's exactly, they had a probably biggest team in the NHL. And then you go to Montreal, that's a huge rivalry, right? And then my first 2, 3 years, we had a really good series, couple of playoff series against Ottawa, so that became a rivalry. So you learn as you go, but like first 2, 3 years, just regular, different city, same NHL game. That's how I tried treating it.
Well, Boris Salming told us that his first time playing in Philadelphia, he had no idea. He gets in a fight with a guy, and he comes off in between periods and said, "Do you have any idea who you just fought?" And he said, "No, who?" And he said, "That was Dave Schultz. He's the toughest guy in the league." And Salming went, "Oh," but he had no idea.
That was
after
probably
that,
in
he
the
had no idea.
70s. Yeah, that was probably. So that for me it was kind of turning point. Not turning point, but the same kind of accident happened. Not accident, but same happened to me. We played home against New Jersey, I think, and I believe it was my first year, and we played against New Jersey. So obviously Camden Echo and Scott Stevens, right? So
Yes.
I had no idea who they were and stuff like that. So I dumped the puck and I stick Scott Stevens corner, and I ran him in the boards like as hard as I could, like just like killed him, right? And then the next, so I went in the back on a I went back on a bench, and Dmitry Yuskevich, he told me, like, "Buddy, like, what are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm just finishing my check." He's like, "Well, just to keep your head up for the rest of your career," he told me. I'm like, "Wait, what's happening?" So then I had to, he's like, "Yeah, just YouTube him afterwards." So I went home, I YouTube him, and then I see all these big hits on Lindros, and everybody, I'm like, "Oh man."
So you come in and not knowing all that, and you're playing for Pat Quinn. Like, how was your relationship with Pat?
Oh, I think he was the best thing happened to me. Like, he believed in me. Like I said, I mentioned I had my first 4 to 5 years in the Leafs. I've been like I said, first 2 years, 2 ACL surgeries. Then I think on average, my first 4, if you look at my stats, I would say first 5 to 6 years in the league, I played no more than like 57 games, I think, each year. So I've been hurt a lot. And normally, like, obviously back in the day, I didn't know that, but normally, like, you injury prone, so they would either trade you or get rid of you. You know how it works, right, Squid? So they wouldn't give me another chance, but I had so many chances. Pat believed in me, and I guess when I matured a little bit more, so obviously Pat was, but now, and then I start playing better, so I overcome injuries and all this stuff with the fans at the time, because they were booing me because I was constantly injured and stuff like that. But Pat played a huge role, like in my in the first 4 or 5 years in the league. Like, he believed in me, and I'm one of the best coaches I played for, 100%, hands down.
Yeah.
Now, I was going to say to you, you came in with no preconceived ideas about playing in Toronto or what the league was like, and we've established that's probably a good thing. But after a while, and especially when you went on the road, it must have dawned on you about playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs and that relationship with the fans, because the fans are so passionate. And you must have noticed after a while that every rink you would go into, there'd be blue and white sweaters, or there'd be fans, and it would be sometimes almost like a home game.
Oh yeah, 100%. It didn't kick in to me, or it did kick into me around like my 6th year in the league. Like, then I started realize, like I said, after I started communicate with guys more and hearing the stories and stuff like that, so that's when it started kind of like a sponge, observe everything. Like, yeah, you go to this league, or you go to this game or city or this city, so you got, there is a lot of history in each building, right? And everywhere we went, like you said, it was like always chance, go Leafs, go, no matter what it is, Montreal or Ottawa or in Detroit, especially down south, like Florida, all the southern states. There is always blue and white everywhere. And then even, like I said, like even in Montreal, in Ottawa, and Chicago, sometimes you play and you hear go Leafs, go. So it was awesome. Yeah, it was awesome to see, definitely.
Squid?
Yeah, no, it was, I remember, when I played, it was well before he played, obviously, because he was born when I got traded, as you said, Mike, from Vancouver to Toronto on that day, which actually pissed me off, by the way. But anyway, I'm just kidding.
And I'm older than you, so how do you think I feel?
Well, I can remember when, when I was playing in Vancouver and Toronto would come to town, Pacific Coliseum, I think, held about 15,000, and literally half the building were Leaf fans. And that was the same in Winnipeg and Edmonton and Calgary. And then as time went on, I think people realized, or kids started cheering for their home teams and certain players. And even now, people cheer for LA because their favorite player plays for LA or that sort of thing. But still, no matter where you go, you see Leaf sweaters in the stands when the Leafs are in town, pretty much every city.
Well, I was going to say to you, Nick, 2004, 2005, the strike year, you go back to the Super League to play. So now, after playing for a couple of years in National Hockey League, you go back. What was the transition like for you going back to that league after playing NHL? Maybe define for us maybe some of the differences you noticed, and maybe realize that this NHL is a pretty good league, and it is a pretty uppity elite level as far as, living conditions, travel, the perks and everything that went with it. Did it really then sink into you going back to the Super League?
Not at that lockout year. I was, like I said, I was still 24 going into my 25th year, and I was still young and tried to establish myself as a regular NHL player, right? So I wasn't coming in at the level of played 15, 10 years in the league already, coming back. Right?
Oh, no, I meant just the difference in play between the two leagues.
No, I know. And I was, like I said, I was still trying to, I came into the Russian KHL or Russian Super League at the time, and I thought in my mind I was still had to prove a lot, so I wasn't
understand.
So I didn't notice at that time yet. There was big difference, on the ice and in terms of playing. But yeah, like travel and all these perks come with it, hotels and stuff. Obviously, it's a huge difference. But my second lockout, or when I went there second time in 2013-14, that's what I noticed the difference in the game, right? So how much it's faster, it's better, better players and stuff like that, and it's faster, right? So, but at that time, yeah, 04-05, like I said, I was still trying to find who I am. Yeah, establish
yourself.
Yeah, exactly.
Squid, you got a question for him on not establishing yourself.
Just like he had to do with the alumni. No, he's probably the best centerman I've had on the alumni because he's so much younger, and I just give him the puck. But if I got a funny story because he kept looking to pass all the time. But I'm watching him shoot the puck and when we're warming up and everything, and I think, wait a minute. So I said to him, I said, Nick, why don't you just shoot the puck more? Like, you got a great shot. So anyway, next shift, he goes out, boom, bar down, another one after that. And I said to him, I said, God, if I had coached you, I said, you probably would have been a 30 to 40 goal scorer every year. He started laughing. But he did have a good shot. And, but I think, and maybe that was when you came into the National Hockey League, that was your thought process, was pass first and shoot second.
All the time. Yeah, every coach that I played under, starting since I was 9, minor Adam and back in Russia, every single coach that I played for, it's been always on me. You have to shoot the puck more. You have to, because like you said, like I've been a pass first. I grew up in USSR. That's bigger ice surface, a lot of so we try every time we get into the zone or through the neutral zone. It's always have to be tic-tac-toe, back to the D, back to you, bam, empty net, tap in. That's how, And when you get to the NHL level, obviously everything faster, bigger guys, stronger guys, not enough room. But yeah, they give me shit. Every coach that I played for, give me shit for not shooting a puck enough.
Now
you didn't listen. You didn't listen to them. You would have listened to me,
I didn't understand. I didn't understand English back then. I blame everything on that now.
Now you listened one year because in 2008 you had a very good year. You got a new contract, but those injuries kept nagging away at you. And then in 2009 of March of 2009, you get moved to New York. Now, how did that whole day unfold for you, getting traded like that and then ending up in New York City?
Actually coming into that year, so I had a pretty good year previous year.
That's right.
And then so like I said, like after my 7th, 8th year in the league, so I guess I grew up into my body. I matured more, so I started playing like I was supposed to, like I figured it out on my 6th year. So I like Squid said, I was trying to pass all the time, but then I look at a few videos of Dave Andreychuk and stuff like that, how he wasn't the fastest guy. He was bigger guy, but he wasn't the fastest. So I kind of refer myself to him, a little bit. And I mean, he scored like almost 400 some goals, right? I guess. And then I just started kind of analyzing what he was doing, and then it's just simple. So then I figured it out. So I got to go in the net and just spend time there. Yeah, there's bumps and bruises, tough area to go in. But if you think about it, there's 70 or 65, 75% of puck or shots end up around the net, right? And being 6'4", or 6'6", and 230, 235 pounds, it's for some of the defensemen, it's not easy task to move, especially when the rules change, right? In 2004 lockout. So no hooks, no grabbing, nothing like that. So I realized that, and I started spending more time around the net, trying to tip puck every game, every practice, working on that stuff. And it bring me a little bit of a success. And then going into that year when Brian Burke came in, so I already knew, like before even game number 1, I knew I'm gonna get moved. It's my last year. I've been here almost 10 years, so I kind of, in the back of my head, I knew I'm gonna get moved. So that day, that's the only season I could have played full 82 game scheduled, and then they scratched me just night before the New Jersey game at home because I guess they reached the deal with the Rangers. So the funny thing, yeah. So I came into the game. So I'm in my locker room taking my suit off, and then one of the coaches is like, "Yeah, some coach wants to talk to you." I'm like, so I already knew, right? So it's like, "Yeah, you're not in the lineup tonight. You can go home." I'm like, oh, "Fuck!" Like, tell me that 2 hours fucking earlier, right? So I don't have to drive all the way. So, and I was one of the first. Usually, I was one of the first guys in a locker room before the game, and then so I put my suit back. I go to the underground parking garage, and all the guys start coming in, into the game. I'm like, "Hey, where are you going?" Like, I'm like, "Yeah, good. It was good playing with you. See you, see you around." So, and then the next day, so I put TSN or Sportsnet, whatever it was, and I just watched the whole day of trade deadline. There was nothing happening, and then like 4 or 5 minutes before the deadline, actually. So they first, actually, I saw it on TV that I'd been traded to the Rangers, and then about a minute after, 45 seconds after that, Brian Burke called me and said, "Yeah, you're a Ranger now. Thanks for your service." That's how it went. Nice and simple.
Well, down here, you go from playing in Toronto, so you go from a mega hockey city to the city in New York. That must have caught your attention playing in that city.
Yeah, I actually, to be honest, I didn't really like like going in for a couple of games, a couple of days, night before a game, and then you go and eat nice dinner, at a nice restaurant somewhere, and then next day you play, and then you out. So I didn't really like New York. Didn't like, but I never get to experience to live in New York more than 2-3 days, right? So, and then being traded to New York, so obviously I lived in Manhattan. They put me in Manhattan in a hotel there, and it was awesome, actually. I enjoyed my time there. It was great. Anything you want is there, but I don't know. I can't say bad anything about it. It was awesome. It was a good experience, and I went from non-playoff team at the time into the like battling or seventh place or whatever we end up. Made the playoffs that year, and had a really nice series against Washington at the time. We lost in Game 7, unfortunately, but yeah, it was good. Like you said, it's original 6 team, and organization been nothing but first class as well. So it was great.
Well, I was going to say
after that.
Oh, go ahead, Squid. Go ahead, Squid.
So after that, you become a free agent.
Yeah.
And you go to, of all places, Atlanta. And I'm thinking, okay, well, why would you go to Atlanta when or was that the team that was most interested or showed the most interest or because it was an expansive franchise? What were your reasoning for going to Atlanta, which actually ultimately brought you back to Winnipeg?
That's a great question, Squid. I honestly never even thought about it before you asked me that. But honestly, the process of the free agency, I know. So so I get.
See, I never got to be a free agent in my career, so.
Which is a good thing, maybe, no? you always been.
Oh no, that would have been good.
So so I guess they were more interesting, but the main reason, like Ilya Kovalchuk called me a week before the free agency or so, and he asked me, "Hey, I really want to play, like, what do you think to coming over and play with us, with me?" And like when one of the best players in the world at the time, asking you this, I don't think you think twice, so I thought an opportunity for me as well, it's a young team. You will be first, second line, center, playing with Kovalchuk, power play, so all the opportunities that any player dream of, power play, shorthanded, like you name it, right? So 20 plus minutes per game, so it was the best player, one of the best players in the world. So that was the process of me, and then we picked up a couple more guys. So I thought we had a really competitive team, and that year I think we missed the playoffs by like 3-4 points, I believe. I could be mistaken, but something like that. So, and then we signed Afinogenov, and that was one of the best lines in the NHL that I played for. Like, it was co-workers. So beside Mats and obviously Mats and Dean and Pani Karowski,
Yeah.
so that would be another line that I really, really enjoyed that year. So I think I had my best points per game, points in the league, and me, Max, and Finn again are being Russian. So we played that, trying to play the tic-tac-toe, tap in, backdoor, so, lucky, and we did it. I thought we did really well. It's unfortunate we didn't make the playoffs, but I thought it was a good opportunity for me. So that was my basically a thought process.
So you go from Toronto, which is the mega, again, we've mentioned again, the mega hockey, to the mega city in New York. You go to Atlanta, which you're pretty much unknown. It's not a big hockey town. Then you come back to Canada, Winnipeg, smaller version, Canada. What was kind of the difference between all the cities you played in through that whole process you found as a player?
Well, the major, I would just have to eliminate, not eliminate, but I just have to, Atlanta was the difference, right? Like completely different than New York, Toronto, or everything else. Yeah, you're back on the Canadian market with the Winnipeg Jets, fans were eager to have a team back. 16, 17 years, right? They didn't have a hockey, so that experience was another highlight of my career. Definitely, especially the first year in Winnipeg, it was phenomenal. It was unbelievable. So Atlanta, like I said, it's a little different. Like down south, there was like 5,000-6,000 fans every year. Every game, but through Atlantean fans, or like they were there every day in, day out, every game. But there wasn't enough support. There was something going on between the ownership or something like that, so the team didn't survive, obviously. But the Winnipeg was unbelievable. The first year, every home game was like a playoff series, like whiteouts and chants, and you can hear like 5 kilometers away. You've been outside, like go Jets, go, and stuff like that. It was awesome.
Well, I know that the first year they made the playoffs, they played Anaheim with the new team, and I had clients there. So a client took me to the game, and he said to me, "You got to bring a white shirt." So I said, well, okay. And so anyway, he brought one for me regardless, and I wore it. We're having dinner underneath the rink, and it's like 6 o'clock. And the warm up, I think at that time was going to be like 6:45 or 7 o'clock or something like that. And I could hear all this rumbling and chanting and stuff like that. And I said, "What is that? Like, where's that sound coming from?" He said, "That's come from inside the rink." I said, "Well, they're not going on the ice for 45 minutes. And I went inside. He goes, "Let's go inside." Went inside the rink, and it was 3/4 full. And it was full by the time we sat down. This is a half an hour before the warm up, and they're chanting and screaming. I've never heard anything like it in my life. It was incredible.
It was unbelievable. Yeah, I know. Sorry, I'm gonna bring the computer. 1 second. I think my front door opened.
Okay. Pause for a second there.
No, you're good. Yeah, I just want to make sure my dog won't run away.
Oh, okay.
Good. I don't know how it happened. It's windy. Sorry. Back to normal.
Okay, Squid, you're up.
Yeah, so you go to Winnipeg, and but then you end your career back in Russia. Like, was that just a situation where you couldn't catch up or couldn't get anybody here to sign you or whatever, or was there opportunities still here in North America, but you decided to go back and finish your career at home?
No, not quite the way you're saying, but so I had a hip surgery my last year in Atlanta. So I played only 72 games. So it's been bothering me.
How many damn surgeries did you have?
Yeah, a few.
So let's count. I think I need 10 of your fingers as well to count. So yeah, couple ACLs, I think 3 or 4 meniscus, scope surgeries on each knee after that, and hip surgery. So at least 10 good ones. So, and then anyway, so that last year in Atlanta, so I played on the painkillers like my whole, like, so I think it was 72 games. And then when we knew, like, I think it was like 8 games or 10 games left, so we weren't making a playoff, so they shut me down. So I talked to the ownership, said, "Listen, I've been playing on my painkillers every game, right? So obviously been doing tests and everything, blood, so everything was fine. But like, there is no reason, like we're not in the playoffs, we're not making playoffs. So I went and did a surgery in Nashville, and it took me almost. Took me like almost then coaches changes, after that. So Greg Ramsey comes in. I don't think he was a big fan of me. So I think I was ready, like I did the surgery like almost like at the beginning of April. And it's been more than 6 months, obviously, right? So April, May, June, July, August, September. So I was ready at least 85%. Like in my mind, I was ready 85% to start the season. So he cut me. He not benched me, but he didn't dress me for the opening night. You're not ready. So he didn't dress me for a couple of nights for first 2 games. Then I started playing. So it was slow season for me. Right at the end, I kind of picked it up a little bit, and then we moved to the Winnipeg. And I was still kind of nagging. Like first year was okay, but second year was kind of still nagging pain. Like and I didn't perform well, so it was obviously my points dropped. And anyway, so we waited till July 1st. And Squid, you don't know. You've never been a free agent, so you don't know that. But that would be so that was my second free agency at the time. And then usually all the stuff happening, all the signings, 90% of the signings happening within the first 2, 3, 4 days maximum, right? So July 1st to the maybe 5th. And then after that, it's quiet up until almost end of August or September, right before training camp, if somebody get injured. So first 4 or 5 days, or even a month after the July 1st, there was nothing happening. It was quiet, and then the Russian team called me and told me there was like you have like 20 days to make a decision, and I we sat down with my wife and talked about it, and I waited all yes and no's, and so I thought at the time for me, if I was at 35, 33 years old, not and the league went younger at the time, started getting younger. And I didn't want to take a chance and sit till September and possibly till October without the job, possibly, right? And then I took up on that offer for 2 years, and that's hoping, playing 2 years and go back and maybe finish a season or 2 with the NHL team, on the minimum, whatever it didn't matter. It wasn't about the money, but on my second year in the KHL, I blocked a shot and had another surgery on my wrist. So, and that's, and then I joined Alumni and play with Squid.
Well, in between there somewhere, Nicky, you must have, you maybe didn't know very much about Canada or the NHL when you came over here, but you must have learned something over the 10 years because you became a Canadian citizen.
I think, ask me anything. That test for Canadian citizenship, I was sweating for 3 months when they sent me that book about Canadian history. Oh my God, like I probably know more than you, Squid, about Canadian history.
You know what? You probably do, because when I was in school, we learned more about the U.S. Than we did Canada.
Really?
I was shocked. It was like, I mean, we learned about the Civil War and I mean, everything in the U.S., but we didn't learn a whole lot about Canada. I was shocked, but but I grew up here and lived most of my life in Canada, so I know enough about it.
Yeah. No.
So now, Nicky,
but it was. Sorry, go ahead.
Well, no, one of the things I was going to say to you about the team concept of playing in Russia and Canada. Hockey players are hockey players, so there's kind of this mantra about players about bonding and team concept. Did you notice any difference from coming over here as a young kid, even when you got a little bit older, about going out for a beer with a guy or going out as a team? Was that similar to what you're used to at home? You were pretty young at home, but same type of concept?
Not a fucking chance. Are you kidding me? You get fined right away. No, not a chance. So like I said, so before, like we grew up like really like KGB style, right? Like before when I came in, before I joined the NHL, we've been working or skating or practicing 11 months a year. So we had like 28 days off in the summer and then go back at it again. So it was quite an experience. It was like, especially when I made that, landed back to Dynamo Moscow. That was the hardest preseason I've ever had in my life. Like I was like literally fainting at the time. So it was so hard. It was unbelievable. But yeah, there's definitely no. Yeah, if you want to have a beer at the time, yeah, you gotta go and hide, like run 5 kilometers away from where the coaches are, and like hide in the bushes, have a beer, and you better be back in 15 minutes. Because
Well,
that's
Squid, good
that's
thing
how
they
it
didn't
was.
have that for you, those rules, boy. You guys, I don't think anybody would last it.
Oh, yeah, I know. Well, it was a lot different even when I played than when Nik came in too, because I mean, for us, it was like every day we went to lunch together as a team, hung out together. Sometimes that lunch, unfortunately, would last until the evening, but
I had a few of those too.
so
Which is great. I think it's
but
great. It's a thing, like, yeah, it depends on the guy, right? So some guys like to get a little more pints in them. Some guys just enjoying the company. You're talking. I think it's good. But anyway, yeah, we didn't have anything in Russia, and I was gonna say that when I get back to the KHL my second time, and we try to, so the league changes and the coaches kind of start changing, so it's a little bit better. So now can guys, like, coaches kind of trust players. So before you go, like even here, before, like my first 2, 3, 4, 5 years in the league, so you go to the camp to get back in shape. Now if you see, all the guys are professional, right? So they come in, they put 3 months work, 2 months work, so they all come back in shape to the camp. So same was in Russia. So right now guys are actually working out in the summers, so they're getting back in shape. So the coaches kind of ease up a little bit. There is a new wave of coaches, so they start trusting guys a little bit more, and it's getting better in there, 100%.
Well, what about now your role with the Maple Leafs now? Talk to us about that.
Yeah. So I'm on a skill consultant. So I mostly work with the Marlies. So during the year, so on a normal year, so I usually come in. So I think we have a meeting on the 8th, and then so they're back in town right now. So we have 2 or 3 development days. Like I think it's 9th and 11th right now. But on a normal, not non-pandemic year, so it would be like twice, maybe 3 times a week when they're home. We have a development days for the Marlies. And if Leafs needs me or extra body, so I'd go there for like once or twice a month, maybe on a normal year. So this year, been actually really enjoyed. So we've been working since Labor Day weekend. So that's their summer program, starting in September because of the postponed season and everything. So, and then yeah, it's been since Labor Day basically. Yeah, so it's been hard. So Leafs and Marlies, and usually we would have a prospect somewhere in between the draftees or the last year draftees, but this year we didn't. So it was yeah. So you go with 1 or 2 or 5 guys. It depends on schedule. Depends who wants to work on something. So I kind of, not responsibility, I would say, but my kind of jam.
Yeah.
So like down low play, around the boards, wall collection, how you put your body or you hit somebody before, stuff like that. Work around the net, stuff like that. So that's what I kind of do.
Well, I was going to say to you, I don't want to pull a Mike Babcock. I know Squid's got a question for you too, but I don't want to be pulling a Mike Babcock here, and you're Mitch Marner. But here goes anyway.
Yeah.
The players, for the most part, all do work hard, but you're working with these young kids. There are a couple that stand out to you that are work especially hard that have impressed you, and maybe of some of those kids, who can we look to as maybe somebody that could be that next player to come up and be a factor with the Leafs?
You know what? So, like, are we talking about
Marlies, yeah.
or the Marlies? Yeah. So, there is
the guys you're working with.
Yes. Well, like Nick Robertson, right? So, but he's a little bit different body shape than me, so he's a more faster player. So, I haven't really spent time with him much, but I think, last year he played a little bit in the playoffs, right, for his first goal and stuff. So, I think he would be first candidate. There is Adam Brooks already played, so he's pretty good. There is a couple of older guys too, like Kenny Agostino or Tyler Gadet they've been veteran players, on the Marley squad, but I think they work extremely hard, and I think they deserve an opportunity. But obviously, it's not up to me. But there is a handful of young players coming up, and it's up to them. It's nobody, like, we can only suggest and show in videos and stuff like that, and put a work on the ice. But at the end of the day, it's up to them how bad they wanted it, right?
It's great.
How does that work, Nick? I mean, does someone tell you what a certain player needs, or is it up to you to look at video and decide, like, okay, we need to work on this, or we need to work on that, or does that come down from somebody else? Like, how does that all work? I never really understood that role.
No, so basically, like I said, so there's I think it's 9 development guys in our staff. So we have 2 skating coaches, Barbara Underhill and Randy Milani. So they do all the skating works with every guy. So it doesn't matter 6'7" guys or 5'11" guys, right? So it doesn't matter. So they do all the skating, like edges and stuff like that. And then we have a defensive shooting, not shooting, but like all around coaches. So my role, so I'm kind of working with the big boys club, so all the guys are my size or similar, at least, who like power forwards type of thing. And then whoever, it doesn't matter on the size, whoever else wants to come out, they can join the, unless it's a really specific development day for these guys. So we look through the videos, and then coaches, obviously there's a lot of communication with if it's on the Leafs side, so with Sheldon, right? So he sees more things, so he's got all the videos, and he knows during the game, watching the game, right? Like, this guy probably needs this, or this guy. So, and then same thing with Greg Moore and the Marlies. There's that's only my second year, but hearing back from development staff, they said this is one of the best years in terms of communication around the coach, development staff, and fitness staff, and everything involved together, right? So that's how it's one of the best year, like last 2 years, because a lot of communication. Before, I think everybody was kind of on their own. So now, so the coaches see stuff, like things in the games, and then they kind of talking to the guys, sending. We got group chat. There's like 7 group chats, like on a WhatsApp now, in terms of development. So there is always something like, there's a video, one guy, oh, look what he did, this, awesome. Or he could have done this. Oh, okay, so we can work on that. So it's a lot of communication between different departments, which is good.
So it sounds like
it's amazing. Hold on, it's amazing that you talk about that, Nick, because I remember when my son was playing in Hartford, which was a Rangers farm team. They gave them all their own iPad, and after every game, all their shifts would be downloaded onto their iPad. And I'm thinking, like, what? Like, first of all, you're in the American Hockey League, but you're still getting that kind of, personal touch to it. And I guess that's probably what they do, is see that, they pass that on to you or something, and then it's like, okay, work with them on this.
Oh yeah, like it's like in these days, there's unbelievable what those young kids, even prospects, right? Like they have BDV. Like I worked with the Russian guys as well, the prospects, and we just went through the video a couple of days ago with the first round this year. Amirov, he plays in the KHL, so they started the playoffs now, and we had 3 or 4 meetings so far through the year with him over Zoom like that, and then show him the videos of what positive things, what he could work on. So the stuff they have right now, it's I wish I was having when I break in the league. And then imagine like I'm always saying, like, obviously it's been 6-7 years already since I retired from NHL, but like I could like always say, like, if I had stuff like what do you guys have, like I would probably still play. So it's unbelievable. There's so much information available, and videos and clips, and if you want a particular things, like there is an app right now, like I'm getting cutting a video for our meeting on the 8th. You can go and you can see every league in the world, every player that we've drafted. You don't have to watch the game. You just click, and you just watch his shifts, and then you pick up good or bad or good things, and then send it to them right immediately. So the opportunity is unbelievable for young kids. Like I said, it's up to them. Like they have everything. It's just how bad you want it.
So it sounds like you're really enjoying it, and you're taking some pleasure in working with these players. Would you like to take this to the next step and get into coaching eventually at some point?
I never thought about that. I'm not sure about coaching. So, like I said, my mind, like I love what I'm doing right now. I'm enjoying it. I love being on the ice, showing things, maybe, and then there was a couple of bloopers. And there, I was actually shared on a group chat with our development staff. I was skating McCabe for like 7 minutes. So I was showing him drill, and I fucking wiped out right in front of him. Thank God it was only one guy. Imagine it wiped out before in front of Joe Thornton. Fuck, it would be like. So yeah, So I love what I'm doing so far. So I haven't thought about anything else.
Well, we got a couple of minutes left, and we want to thank you for joining us
Yeah.
today, Nick. Just a couple of now. First off, speaking of young guys, I meant to ask you this earlier. There was a game in your younger years where you had 26 points in a game against Iceland. I think I watched you scored 11. Like, come on, what was that all about?
So yeah, I think it was 98. So in that year, I think I played European Junior Championship, World Junior Championship, and actually World Championship at the same year, all in one season. So what happened is, so we used to play. So not Kazakhstan national team. We used to play in Asia, Oceania. It's like a different division of, because we weren't part of Europe. We still not, but. That's where we used to play. So we would fly to Japan, China, or like New Zealand, stuff like Australia. So, and then it was a tough times for us when the USSR after USSR breakdown, it was really tough times finding funds and everything. So they moved us, or IIHF. I'm not sure how exactly it happened, but they moved us into the European Championship. And obviously you have to start from the bottom, Division D.
Yeah.
So we we end up going there. That was our age group, 1980 born. So we end up going there, and I remember so the teams was Iceland. So that's where we won 63-0. Then Luxembourg,
63-0.
Yeah. So
come on, really?
Oh yeah. So we had Iceland. Luxembourg was the host team, so we could have probably beat them more than 63-0. But our coach told them just ease up on them. So we only won 43-0 or something like that. That was our second, because they were host of the tournament. And then so the final, so was Team Spain, Netherlands, and I can't remember somebody else. So I think we played against Netherlands in the finals, and it was like 18-1, something like that. But that was the game, 63-0. Yeah. So that's when it was. I think it was 11 goals, like 15 assists, something like that. And I mean, it was so bad. Like we came into the tournament, we were nervous. Like shit, it's like a new things for us. We gotta represent our country, and then we come on the ice. It was like Jesus fucking Christ. Like what's so their goalie, like let's put it this way, their goalie after we shoot or miss the net, or he wasn't making a save unless we hits him. He goes down, made a save, and then he had to turn around, grab a crossbar, and lift himself up back, and then so that's how bad it was. So I wouldn't even brag about it. So it was a funny moment, but yeah, like it's nothing.
Well, 63-0. I don't think I've ever heard a score like that before. So that's a first for me. I don't know about you, Squid, but that's a first for me.
I think we
other than a basketball or football game, not a hockey game, that's for damn sure.
I think it's more like somebody beat us now. We used to own or hold the world Guinness record for that score, and if you look at it now, I think there's some bigger scores right now.
Oh, really?
Somebody passed us. Yeah.
So now, who is your favorite teammate? Your funniest teammate you ever play with? Now,
teammate?
Teammate.
Well, there's always few personalities in the team, each team that I played on, but Toronto.
Well, let's say one of the big. We always ask the pranksters, the guys who played the pranks.
I probably would be me. I like being there. Like, yeah, I did once against Taidomi. I cut his sticks, like skills competition. We used to hold Leafs holding, Canadian teams holding like an all-star game.
Yep.
And that was my first or second year. Obviously, I didn't speak any English, and somebody came in, hey, cut Thai sticks, because he was participating in me and him was participating in a harder shot competition. So I'm like, yeah, fuck, I'll do it. So I cut his sticks, all his 4 sticks in the rack, just enough so he can, obviously he came in, take a first stick, he break it, second, fourth, fifth, so he didn't get any shots on it. So 11,000 people were laughing at him. So the next day, I came in the dressing room, practiced, went into the shower, went into my stall to get my clothes. It's fucking gone, right? All my clothes, like shoes, like it was winter, right? January. So all my like Canada Goose, like everything. So I'm like, fuck, I'm looking naked in a dressing room. Like, where is my shit, right? And then one of the trainers, after like 15 minutes of me running around there, is like, yeah, go check the hot tub. So all my shit was in the hot tub. So obviously somebody told him that I did cut his stick, so he threw my threw my clothes in the hot tub. So I had to spend 2 more extra hours at the rink waiting until it dries.
Now, did you get anybody?
Karofsky was good, yeah.
Yeah, he was another one that, he was a good guy.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
So now, I guess we were told many times by people that one guy you don't prank is Ty Domi because he'll get you forever.
Oh no, he used to say, I'll fucking slash your tires. If you do something to me, I'll slash your tires. So that was his line. Or another one, like, I'll make, what's Squid? You heard probably that. Like, I'll break your jaw, you're gonna eat through the straw for the rest of your life or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. You wanna eat through the straw for the rest of your life? That's his line.
Yeah, isn't that going a little bit extreme, like cutting the guy's tie?
Oh fuck, I know, yeah. Like I'm like, fuck, anything, yeah, throw my clothes in the hot tub. I don't care. Like that would be the suck, right? That would be like I'll slash your tires.
Well, we told the story about Glenn Healy told us on the podcast that he was talking to a player one time from New Jersey beside the Leaf bench. And the guy was just wishing him a Merry Christmas. They were shaking hands. And Domi walked up and decked him because he thought he was chirping the bench. And Healy said, what are you doing? He was wishing me Merry Christmas. And he said, well, he shouldn't be talking to us anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Ty for sure. Yeah.
So that's him. So that God bless him. Well, Squid, you got anything else before we let Nick go? I know he's got to run to it. I was going to ask you, Daniel, is he still playing? Your son?
Yeah. We have time. I have another 10 minutes if you have.
Fantastic. Yeah.
So that's all. Yeah. So he's he's just waiting for if OHL is gonna start or not. So he's been off since you and me since March. So he hasn't played a game. He was done 2 preseason routines already for nothing. And then so it's the last word what I heard, they I think they have a meeting, like OHL have a meeting this week or next week, but they were planning to reopen the league on April 2nd or 4th, something like that, but it has to go through the government approve again, right? So there is no strict word for him, but he is
sucks.
most likely going to PEI University next year.
Oh, is he? Oh,
UPI or what? University of Prince Edward? Yeah. So so they've been chasing him down. So I think it's pretty much a done deal. I'm not gonna announce it officially, but I think that's what UPI, right?
He'll love
UPI,
it there, I tell you. Yeah. He'll love it
that's
there.
That's in Charlotte, right?
They look after in Charlottetown, yeah.
Yeah, Charlottetown, yeah. So.
And
so,
but I mean, he'll love it there, and the people there love.
Well, what I was going to say to you now, of all the guys you played with, who are some of the players that you admired, non-Russian players, guys you watched play over here, and just their whole work ethic, the way they carried themselves on the ice, way they carried themselves off the ice? The term today is used being a real pro. Who are those guys that you played with over the years?
So, well, it would be in Toronto. It would be hands down like Mats Sundin. He actually I learned so much from him, like on the ice, but mostly from the ice, like from off the ice. It was a true professional, and the way he worked and everything. It was quite a eye-opening for me, when I got older, when I started communicating with the guys more, and his work ethic was unbelievable. So it would be the Matt's and Dean hands down. And then I'm sure that every team had a guy like that, right? But now being on the development staff or especially this year, the work Jason Spezza put in this year, this summer, it was fucking unbelievable. Like he was there since Labor Day weekend, and every day or 5-6 days a week, every day working his butt off. It was, and you can see now it pays off. So guys are like all the young guys like amazed, like, and I always talking to the young guys and stuff like, well, you never know. Like, look at the Jason Spezza, right? He wants to quit last year because Babcock or whatever happened there, right? Didn't play him or didn't put him in the opening night, and he was this close to said, yeah, fuck it, but he stuck with it. Put up a lot amazing work this summer, worked his butt off, and still plays in a high level.
3 assists last night.
Well, it certainly shows in the way he's playing. And you mentioned a name a while ago, a guy that I played with in Buffalo, and I have no idea where he is, but
Greg Ramsey.
I've been asked so many times, who's the best all-around player you ever played with or against? And of course, you know, the natural thing would be Wayne Gretzky or, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
But for me, it was Alexander McGillman. And I never saw a guy that could handle a puck at a high speed like him, a guy that could go from 0 to top speed in 2 strides. I mean, he was, in my mind, he had everything. He could do anything that you asked him to do out there.
Well, yeah, you guys said no Russian players, so I didn't mention him, but
okay. No,
yeah,
I just meant,
but no, but he came in Toronto, like almost after the end of, like, towards the end of his career, so his back wasn't in a great shape, but he was on, like Squid said, he was unbelievable. So he had a 7 sticks length, so 7 different sticks, starting from like up to here and then finishing up. So it depends how his back feels that day. So he would choose the stick. So if it's his back like really bad, so he'd get a longer stick, right? So he doesn't have to. But yeah, you know, and then he's feeling good, so he grab a shorter stick. He can go and change skate during the intermission. So you'd go in a Bauer skates, fucking like, fuck bullshit, you know. Give me a pair of CCM skates. So you'd put a brand new out of box CCM skates for the second period, or Easton skates, whatever, it doesn't matter at the time. And fucking go and score 2 goals, or like comes in, incredible. Never skated in the summer. Yeah, never skated back in Russia in the summer, during the summer, comes in like 5 days, 4 days, or 7 days before camp, skate twice, and he would be like best fucking player in there. It was just unbelievable. I had to like bag myself for like 9 weeks, right? 3 months to get back into shape. He comes in just casually. How were fucking Bowers today? Whatever, give me like fucking Reebok stick, right? It was so easy for him. It was unbelievable.
Yeah, I agree. I always said he was probably the best player I ever played with or against, and to this day, I still stand by that.
Well, when he came into Toronto, he was probably the most skilled player to ever play for the Maple Leafs during that era, as far as talent goes. And I would say that the thing about him, now today, a lot of players, McDavid and all these other guys can do this. He was one of those guys, and you guys can probably clarify this because you were on the ice a lot of times. He skated faster with the puck than he did without it. And he was one of the few guys that could really do that. In my eyes, anyway. I don't know what you guys thought.
It was the next level. He's so smart, right? So the smart and skilled player. So he's got everything in his like combined, right? So yeah, he would like do nothing for like 1 or 2 shifts, and then all of a sudden just like bam, like got the puck. He knows he's gonna score. Like he can almost score. Like he can almost call when I'm gonna go and score now. Watch stuff like that. You know, it's like it was amazing, but. Yeah, Squid probably. I played a little bit with him. I'm not sure. Like, how many years do you play with him, Squid?
I played with him for 2 or 3 years, and he was still pretty young at that point. And I mean, I can remember where he would get it and he would take off. He would be going at such a high speed, one-on-one with a defenseman. And the next thing you know, the puck was in the net, and you didn't even see how he got around on it. It was that fast. Like he put it under his stick 2 or 3 times, and then the next thing you know, he's around the D man, and it's in the net. And you go, like, how the hell did he do that?
Thank God for Jumbotron, so you can see the replay, right?
Yeah.
'Cause
Well, we didn't have
sometimes
jumbotrons back then.
yeah. Oh, you got something at least, no? A little one.
No, they had the ones with the little lights.
Oh yeah, the bubble. Yeah, no, it was amazing. Yeah, him coming down on the right wing on his off wing, and then just like you said, dangle it like between stick 2 or 3 times, change the angle, and then like that wrist shot was like wicked too, right? Wicked.
Oh.
And then boom, it's in the net. And by the time defenseman turned around, see what happened, it was like he was already celebrating by the bench, giving high five.
And can you imagine him, Burry, and Fedorov played on the same line in junior? Like, could you imagine that line playing in the National Hockey League at 21, 22 years old together? Like, it would be incomprehensive to think of what they could do as a line.
Oh, unreal.
Yep. Well, Nick, it's been a pleasure. I know you're off to a hockey rink as usual.
Yep. Yeah.
And
gotta get my little guy there.
Loved having you. We'd love to, just one final thought before you go. This edition of the Maple Leafs, what do you think?
I think it speaks for itself so far, right? I mean,
we were just saying
this summer, like I said, or this off season was really different from the last one. So when Sheldon took over last year, halfway through the season, obviously, right? But the way the work ethic now, everybody knows exactly their roles in the team and stuff, and everybody's skilled, and even skilled players working like their asses off. It's really nice to see, and I mean, you can see, look at the standings and look at the results. It's showing so far.
Fantastic.
Well, guys, I said to Mike, there's only one team in Canada that I could see possibly even giving the Leafs a go in a playoff round, and that's Winnipeg. Other than that, I don't think anybody in Canada can beat them. And they're the way they played in Edmonton, the way they shut down Edmonton's offense was perfect. Like, it was unbelievable. Like
Sheldon Cole, it was like like the guys were saying, it was like almost like perfect game, right?
Yeah.
Like it was. You can't ask for better. Yeah.
Well, you gave up 1 goal in 3 games. That's a pretty good start right there. So I would say that's okay. Well, Nicky, I want to thank you so much for joining us today. It was very enlightening. It was great. And maybe we'll see you soon at the Baycrest.
All right. Thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, Nick.
Okay, Nick. Hopefully next fall we'll be lacing it up together.
Get your fucking getting ready. You got to get on the ice soon. Let's get those hips warmed up. Let's get those hips warmed up, man.
I'll need a skills coach.
All right. Sounds good.
Okay, Nicky.
All right.
See you guys. Thanks, cheers. Take care. I appreciate it.
Well, I think our listeners are going to get a real treat of listening to Nick, because he's one of those guys that I would suggest that people aren't really well versed on what he is all about, because he was a fairly quiet guy when he played here in Toronto, although he's a very big guy. But it just, you can hear it come out of him. He's a Canadian citizen now, obviously, so he's ingrained himself into the whole culture of Canada and so on, working with the Maple Leafs. Just an all-around great guy, and you could just see he had the right attitude for a guy coming to a strange country, new language, and all that stuff. And it's just coming through in abundance listening to him talk.
I've gotten the opportunity to get to know Nick a lot more in the last 4 or 5 years, playing in alumni games and so on. And he's a great individual, great person. He loves doing what he's doing as a skills development coach. And what I loved listening to him was the fact that he was talking about this year, the communication between everybody in the Maple Leaf organization is better than it's ever been.
Yes.
And to me, that goes along with, how the team performs as well. So I hearing that makes me feel pretty darn good about where this organization is going.
No, you're right. And we didn't know that. I didn't know that. Like, and he was talking about they have that
No.
8-man group chats, including Sheldon Keefe, where they discuss this. They have the film footage they pass around, the analyzing of players and working on certain skills. The hardest working guys coming out. Jason Spezza leading by example, and he talked about that and the
Mhm.
results we're seeing on the ice now. Yes, all of it. It's very encouraging as a Maple Leaf fan or a booster to hear this because the team's being run really at an elite level, as it sounds like.
Oh, absolutely. And you know what? It's funny because it's one of the things that I always was the biggest on when I coached or whatever. Communication is so vital
Yeah.
to being successful. And now that you got the people behind the scenes that put everything together that are communicating better than they ever have, well, that can only make things better on the ice. And I mean, if you look at these past 3 games, I don't know if they could have played 3 better games than they did.
Well,
So it's look it up.
no, but but to your point, from the sounds of it, it's like the organization has put these players in a position not to fail. Like this isn't bringing Bruce
Mhm.
Boudreau up and playing him with having him driving a cement truck and then saying to him, well, he didn't produce. Well, what they're doing now is they're showing you in skill development or through film and footage. Here's what you've done when you're on the ice. Here's you individually. And they're showing this. And they got somebody working with them, and they've got the sports medicine team and all that stuff. So there's no
Yeah.
excuse for you not to have the best possible training facilities and everything available to you to make you better at what you do for a living. And that applies to anything in real life. So why wouldn't it apply to sports? And the Leafs have picked up on that. And listen, the proof is in the pudding, as you can see with first overall in the National Hockey League.
Well, I mean, the biggest thing is you got to look at these guys are all assets, and you're paying these assets a lot of money. So you better put in the money into what Nick was talking about,
Yep.
and the medical care and everything else to make sure that these guys on any given day are at their best. And I mean, that's exactly it appears what they're doing. And it's showing in the standings and the way some of the players that were castaways from other teams are coming in and doing a great job here. So I think it all starts at the top. And if you got good communication from there down, like Nick was talking about, then you're going to have success.
Well, as you hear me referred to a lot, Bay Street, and the first thing you look at when you're investing in a company is management. And there's no difference in sports. Start right at the top, as you just mentioned, and you can see how it filters through the whole organization because it speaks volumes. And it doesn't matter what you do in this walk of life, it all comes down to that, and it starts right there. And for all those years, unfortunately for you guys, we should actually have the dedication to you guys for what you guys actually accomplished with what you had. I think it was remarkable in itself, if you think about it. But anyway, it's so nice to see. It's so nice to hear that. And by the way, Nick isn't the type of guy to soft soap anything. He calls it like it is.
Oh yeah.
So for him to lay the praises on the players that he did, they earned it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And you can see it. I mean, Jason Spezza has played exceptional this year, so good that he actually played a point on the power play on the second unit. So I mean, that shows that he put the work in and is dedicated to being the best he can be, so that the team, can have success.
And you don't think for a minute.
And he's not complaining. He's on the fourth line basically, but he's not complaining. He's not saying that. He's just going out. He's doing his job.
Well, I mean, the thing about it too is what you have to look at is the fact that a kid like Nick Robinson looks at him. He's 19,
Mm-hmm.
and he's saying, "Here's this guy, 37. He's established, made it, set for life, all that stuff. But look the way he's working. How can I look at myself coming into the rink and I haven't accomplished anything yet and not put in an equal effort?" So it rubs off.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is so critical that your veteran players are the guys that go and show the young guys the way that they're going to have to do it to be successful. And, you got Joe Thornton, you got Simmons, you got Spezza, you got 3 guys that are, probably great pros. and exhibit that off the ice, in the gym, and on the ice. So when you got that, there's no other way to do it than follow those guys and follow their lead.
Well, I mean, all the signs are all pointing that to success, and they're enjoying the fruits of their labor right now, as we've been seeing the way things are resulting up in the scoreboard. So we'll watch with real interest.
Yep.
Hopefully they can continue this. You know, there's going to be a bump on the road somewhere, but it's how they recover. But all things are pointing to good signs moving forward, but they're working hard, so they're earning it. This isn't a fluke. So on that note, Squid, as usual, another interesting show, great guest. I think people are going to learn a lot, learn about a little bit of the inside of what's going on with the Maple Leaf organization as a whole from Nik. We want to thank him for joining us. As usual, you can watch us on Spotify, Apple, iTunes. I know you love this one, Podbean. But, you know, we've got all your favorite podcast outlets we're available on. Look for Squid and the Ultimate Leafs Fan. Again, send us your notes, your questions, or anything you have pertaining to the show. And great, thanks for listening, and we'll talk to you again next week.